forgetting one thing that goes very well with lobster.
In 1988, Ron Howard stood at the peak of Hollywood success. He was the golden boy who had gone from Happy Days to theater's chair, crafting some of the decade's most celebrated films. But that year, one project would push him to the edge. It was a movie that began as a dream and spiraled into a creative nightmare. It wasn't the budget, the studio, or the script that broke him. It was her, the woman at the center of the storm. What started as artistic collaboration turned into tension, clashing egos, and behind scenes chaos that would leave scars Howard still winces at today. So, what really happened on that set? And why does Ron Howard still look back at that 1988 film with regret? Join us as we dig into the astery Hollywood tried to bury. From child star to Hollywood legend. Before the fame, before Happy Days, before the Oscars, there was just a small town boy from Duncan, Oklahoma. Born on March 1, 1954. With show business already running through his veins, Ron Howard wasn't just raised in Hollywood. He was built for it. His father, Rance Howard, was a director, writer, and actor. His mother, Jean Spiegel, was an actress. The family name might have been Beckenhold once, but when Rance traded it for Howard in 1948, he wasn't just choosing a stage name. He was setting the tone for the next generation. At the time Ron was born, his father was serving in the U.S. Air Force. But that didn't stop the pull of storytelling from shaping their family's world. The Howards weren't your typical Hollywood clan. They were dreamers who treated the craft like a calling. Ron's ancestry, a blend of German, English, Scottish, Irish, and Dutch roots, hinted at the kind of all-American face that would soon become one of television's most familiar sights. As a kid, Ron grew up around cameras and soundstages instead of off playgrounds. His classroom wasn't always a school. Sometimes it was Dew's Studios where he was tutored between takes. When he wasn't learning lines, he was learning math at Robert Louis Stevenson Elementary or history at David Starr Jordan Junior High in Burbank, California. Later, he'd walk the halls of John Burroughs High School, balancing scripts and homework like it was second nature. He even made it to the University of Southern California School of Cinematic Arts. But by then, he already knew the truth. He wasn't meant to sit behind a desk. He was meant to sit behind a camera. Howard has often admitted that. Even as a child actor, something inside him was already drawn to directing. Watching grown-ups call action and cut sparked something he couldn't shake. It wasn't just about being in front of the camera. It was about creating the world behind it. His first big break came early. In 1959, a freckle-faced 5-year-old Ron landed his first credited film role in The Journey. From there, the floodgates opened. He popped up everywhere. The DuPont Show with June Allison, The Twilight Zone, Dennis the Menace, The Many Loves of Dobby Gillis. And even Cheyenne that he wasn't just another cute kid on TV. He was a natural, focused, and sharp and was already showing the kind of discipline most adults struggled to master. But it was 1960 that changed everything. That was the year little Ronnie Howard, as he was billed then, stepped into television history as Opie Taylor on the Andy Griffith Show, just 5 years old and already America's favorite son. The role defined his childhood, but also gave him something more valuable than fame. It gave him a front-row seat greatness. Ron is often reflected on his very first day on set. He remembered being completely fixated on a small prop, a toy turtle. In the scene, he had to pretend the turtle was real, and worse, that it was dead. He recalled how Andy Griffith gently talked him through it, turning a moment of make-believe into something magical. For Ron, that day wasn't just about acting. It was the moment he learned what storytelling really meant. Truth, emotion, and connection. The Andy Griffith Show was television comfort. Food, simple, pure, and filled with heart. It didn't rely on flash or trends. It leaned into warmth, family, and small-town values. Even though it aired in the heart of the 1960s, it felt like a love letter to a gentler time, a world untouched by chaos. The cast became household names. Andy Griffith was the wise father figure everyone wished they had. Don Knotts brought the laughs. Francis Bavier gave the show its soul. And then there was Ronnie, the curious boy who grounded it all. The chemistry between them turned the show into a phenomenon, earning multiple Emmy nominations, including several for Outstanding Comedy Series. Though it never took home the big prize, losing to The Jack Benny Show, The Bob Newhart Show, and later The Monkees, its legacy didn't need trophies. Because while other shows faded, the Andy Griffith Show became timeless. And at the center of it all was a red-haired kid learning lessons that would guide him for the rest of his life. Not just about acting, but about patience, leadership, and heart. That small boy from Duncan wasn't just pretending to be Opie Taylor. He was learning how to tell stories that would one day move the world. And little did anyone know, the quiet kid from Mayberry would grow up to become one of the most respected directors Hollywood had ever seen. But the journey there wouldn't be easy. Years later, the same industry that raised him would nearly break him. From Happy Days to the director's chair. Before Ron Howard became one of Hollywood's most respected directors, he was America's favorite redhead. Richie Cunningham, the clean-cut kid from Happy Days. His road from that all smiles sitcom to the director's chair wasn't an accident. It was a steady climb built on instinct, grit, and a lifelong love for storytelling. It all started with a single episode of Love American Style, a short segment called Love and the Television Set. That little role became a launching pad for what would soon become Happy Days. When the show officially kicked off in 1974, Howard's Richie was the buttoned-up, wholesome heart of the story. The perfect balance to Henry Winkler's leather-jacketed rebel fansa. Their chemistry wasn't just on-screen magic. It was real. The two became the soul of the show, with Howard's everyman charm grounding Winkler's larger-than-life cool. But by 1980, after 6 seasons off laughter, fame, and teenage nostalgia, Howard wanted more. He had spent most of his life in front of the camera, and now he wanted to move behind it. Just before the show's 8th season, he walked away, not out of pride, but purpose. Heck, Knew it was time to direct his own story. Still, he returned for a few guest appearances in the show's final season, giving fans a glimpse of the kid who had grown up before their eyes. Long before his official exit, Howard had already taken his first shot at directing. In 1977, he made his debut with the low-budget action comedy Grand Theft Auto, a film he co-wrote with his father, Rance Howard. The opportunity came after a clever deal with producer Roger Corman. Ron would star in Eat My Dust if Corman let him direct the next movie. Howard agreed, and the trade-off paid off. The young actor proved he had more than star power. He had vision. Through the late 1970s, Howard quietly built his directing muscles with a series of TV movies for NBC, including Skyward in 1980, which starred Hollywood legend Bette Davis. But it was 1982 that changed everything. His film Night Shift, starring Michael Keaton, Shelley Long, and his Happy Days co-star Henry Winkler, turned heads. It was fresh, fast, and fearless. From child star to Oscar-winning director, he's done it all. But behind every great chapter in his life, there's been one constant: Cheryl Howard, the woman who's been with him since the very beginning. Ron's story started early. At just 5 years old, he was cast in the Andy Griffith Show, winning hearts across America as Opie Taylor. Then came Happy Happy Days in the 1970s, where he became the face of wholesome TV before making his bold move behind the camera. From Apollo 13 and A Beautiful Beautiful Mind to Hillbilly Elegy, Ron went from the boy next door to one of Hollywood's most respected filmmakers. And through every step off that journey, Cheryl was right there beside him. His anchor, his muse, his quiet strength. Their love story began long before Hollywood fame. They met in high school at John Burroughs High in Burbank, California. Two teenagers who had no idea how far life would take them. In November 2020, Ron celebrated the 50th anniversary of their very first date. He shared that it was November 1st, 1970 when he took Cheryl to see a re-release of It's a Mad, Mad 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 World before grabbing pizza at a now-closed spot called Barnone. He wrote that they planned to mark the day by driving the same 1970 Volkswagen Bug he had picked her up in 50 years earlier. Still running strong just like them. What most people don't know is that Cheryl didn't say yes to Ron right away. Their daughter Bryce Dallas Howard once revealed on the Drew Barrymore show that her dad proposed 3 times before Cheryl finally agreed. According to Bryce, Cheryl wanted to finish school and take her time before jumping into marriage, saying she wasn't quite ready to be on his train yet. That independence only made their connection stronger. In 1975, after 5 years together, Ron and Cheryl made it official. They married in Burbank on June 7th, surrounded by family, friends, and even Ron's on-screen dads, Andy Griffith and Tom Bosley. Nearly 50 years later, Ron reflected that there was never anyone else for him. He described Cheryl as incredibly supportive and said their compatibility had endured every kind of experience life threw at them. When asked about the secret to their long marriage, Ron admitted there was no formula. He explained that communication had always been their foundation. Learning to have hard conversations in constructive ways and understanding that sometimes love grows with a little bit of luck. Cheryl has quietly been part of Ron's career since the very beginning. She has appeared in every movie he's ever directed, even back when he was in high school. From small cameos to blink and you miss it moments, Cheryl became his personal good luck charm. Ron has even mentioned that he's superstitious about including her in each of his films, making sure she's at least visible in one frame. And when Arrested Development came along, the show Ron produced and narrated, Cheryl even played herself. Together, they raised 4 children, Bryce, twins Paige and Jocelyn, and their youngest, Reed. Like their parents, the Howards are a creative bunch. Bryce became a star in her own right with roles in The Help and Jurassic World, and has also built a strong directing career helming episodes of The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. Paige followed a similar path, making her debut in Adventureland and appearing in projects such as The Employer and Collection. Reed took a different route, becoming a professional golfer and even developing a training aid for players struggling with swing balance. Jocelyn keeps a low profile but has joined her family at public events. And all 4 siblings once appeared as themselves in Arrested Development, keeping the Howard legacy. Let us know in the comments. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more updates just like this.